Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Unit 4. This will mark the halfway point in English 107. So this is a big week. It's also kind of a fun week because we're doing something a little bit different. Instead of writing out an essay or a paragraph or a document of some kind, we're going to be creating a vision board using PowerPoint. And it's kind of a fun assignment, gives you a chance to be a little bit creative and use visuals and things of that nature. So let me go ahead and share the course and let's talk about the whole week, but that's the big assignment this week. So a little preview there. Unit 4 is titled Inspiration. And so we're going to be looking at a couple of concepts, including different methods of goal setting, as well as a very important term that you will run into a lot, which is growth mindset. You're going to be identifying your short and long-term goals, talking about how those goals impact future success, and as I mentioned, creating a vision board, which is kind of a cool assignment. Under readings and resources this week, of course, as usual, you want to start there. This week, we're reading chapter 8 in the academic writing textbook on keeping it simple, which is kind of an interesting topic to me. A lot of people come into college writing courses thinking that, they everything you're going to write has to be super elaborate. You have to use big words. You have to use all these things. And in reality, academic writing is actually fairly simple and straightforward. It is meant to be informative, typically, which means that it needs to be easily understandable by the target audience. So it's kind of a fun topic for me. I think keeping it simple is a great one. Then we have a couple of chapters on visuals. First one's on visuals. Second one's on goal setting. So the visual thing is going to help you create your PowerPoint. And we do use visuals a lot, not necessarily in written papers, but we do create a lot of presentations in both our work life and our school life. And so if choosing and using visuals effectively is a big piece of that. And then you have some information on goal setting. Chapter 1 is the power of commitment, and then 2 through 4. You'll be reading all 4 of those chapters in the Gresh's book. Next, of course, we have some videos, and there's a couple. The first video is about SMART goals. SMART goals, the SMART system is a specific way of creating goals. And we're going to be talking about that more in the workshop tomorrow night. So again, remember, we do have a workshop every Tuesday night until not in week 8, but the rest of this semester other than week 8. Next, you have some videos on balancing life, setting priorities, things of that nature. And then you have a couple of videos on growth mindset, which, as I mentioned, is a really important topic in the work world. You hear a lot about it in the business world. So take a look at those, and then you will be ready to attack the work for this week. So we go back to having a discussion board this week. You had a little break in your discussion boards in week 3, but Unit 4's discussion is about your goals. Share, and this is very important. Nobody sees this sentence, so I'm going to highlight it on the screen. Share 1 or 2 of your personal goals with the class. Explain the steps you plan to take to accomplishment. And then everybody sees these questions and wants to answer these questions, but most people kind of skip over this part. So make sure that in addition to answering the questions, you share 1 or 2 of your personal goals and explain the steps that you plan to accomplish them. Then, how will a growth mindset help you achieve your goals? And what is one thing you learned from your lessons this week that has helped you to set your goals or to create your plan? So as usual, you want to try to post your own response fairly early in the week. Aim for at least 6 or more sentences. Get as detailed and use as many specifics as you can. That is always a good tactic. And then, of course, you will need to respond to at least two of your peers. And there's a little thought question to kind of help you with that. Are any of your peers' goals similar to yours? Expand the conversation by discussing different goals and how best to achieve them. So maybe you have some advice on a goal that one of your classmates has set, that sort of thing. So that's the discussion board this week. And then, of course, we have the quote unquote big assignment, which is the creating a vision board. And you will notice that we have a new template this week, which is in Microsoft PowerPoint. Microsoft PowerPoint is part of the Office 365 setup. So you do have access to it as a post-university student. It is something that you probably need to be accessing using a full computer and not just a tablet. You may have a version of PowerPoint on your tablet or your phone, and maybe you'll be able to complete it. But much like the writing assignments, I highly, 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 highly recommend getting yourself to a real computer in order to do the big assignments each week, because it is so much easier to navigate those programs on a full version of a computer. So let's take a look at the assignment sheet first, and then we'll open the template and I'll show you how to utilize it. In this activity, you will create a vision board that focuses on your future goals. Throughout this class and your time at post-university, you will use these goals to shape your education and plan your future. So you're going to open the vision board template attached to the assignment first. Now, you can use a different tool if you want to. You could use Microsoft Word. You could use Google Slides. Google, of course, has a whole suite of products that mimics Microsoft and is free and available fully online. However, as I've said, I think a couple of times, I highly recommend using the template. Well, especially on this assignment. I haven't mentioned it on this assignment. I highly recommend using the template for this assignment because it already has all of the places that you are required to put something on it. If you just open a Word document, a blank Word document, it doesn't have those. So a lot of folks, if they try to use something different, will end up missing one of the requirements. So I highly recommend using the template, and I'm going to show you how. You've got 3 blank spaces for photos. These will be photos that you choose that demonstrate your own goals. There's a slide included that has some pictures that you can use. You can definitely use those. You can use your own photos. If you've got photos that you want to share, that's absolutely fine as well. You also could look for images online. So there's tons of ways to get images that will reflect your own goals. There's even an instruction here on finding images in PowerPoint. I'm not going to read this to you, but I am going to show you how to find images within PowerPoint so that you don't have to go out onto the images like on Google Images, but you can, of course, look for photos online in any way that you want to. So you're going to have 3 photos that respond or connect in some way to a goal of yours. You've got 2 spaces that are for text that are where you will share an inspirational quote that speak to your goals. With quotations, we're also going to include the name of the person who said them, and I'm going to help you find some places where you can locate inspirational quotes. You may have some in mind that you already think about. That's absolutely fine. But you will include both a quote and the person who said it and those 2 spaces. So 3 photos, 2 quotes. That's the requirements. There's 5 things that need to be on your vision board. You'll notice that that's exactly what's in the rubric. Do you have 3 images? Do they connect to your goals? Do you have 2 quotes that connect to your goals? That's it. It is super easy to get 100 points on this assignment as long as you do everything. Okay? That's the secret, of course, is making sure that you do all of the required elements. All right, so let's open the template and I'm going to have to shuffle a little with the sharing. So let me do that. Oh, hold on. Okay, now I should be able to share. All right, let's see. Yep, here we go. All right. This is what the template will look like. It is a PowerPoint that has 3 slides already set up for you. The first one has, again, all the instructions, kind of like that are in the assignment sheet. And the third one has some photo examples that you can use. Obviously, a couple of them focus on graduation. We've got some family-oriented ones. We've got some work-oriented ones. There's all kinds of things that you can use from here. You don't have to use these photo examples, but you certainly can use these photo examples. And then all of the materials are going to go here on the middle slide or page, depending on how you want to look at it. Notice there's spots for titles for each of the photos, and then here are the 2 text boxes, type text here and add a quote here. These are where you can put in your inspirational quotes along with the person who said them. So how do we populate these blank spaces? Well, first of all, let's use one of the photo examples. So I'm going to use this one. I love this little house. So I have copied this photo. I'm going to come back over here and I'm going to paste it on this page. So let me paste. And I'm going to put it in this box because it almost fits there perfectly. Now you can adjust it. You can make it fit exactly if you want to. You can do fancy stuff with it, whatever, but I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. And I'm going to put peaceful living. Okay, so one of my goals would be to live peacefully. And this house looks pretty peaceful to me, especially with the nice sunset. So this is why I like this one. So I've given it a title. Oh, it also has a box for your name. So let's go ahead and put that in while we're doing it. And then we have other places that we can look for photos. So I'm going to click on this box and I am going to search in PowerPoint for a picture. So we go to the insert menu and we choose pictures, and you'll notice there's all kinds of choices. You can look for stock images, you can look for online pictures, you can also use your own photos. I'm going to show you how to get one of your own photos. But first I'm going to use stock images because that's the part that's included. That's the instructions that are included on the assignment sheet. So let's say, let's see, what might I look for? Let's look for, what's a goal? Let's say financial stability. Oh, didn't come in. Let's just put money. Sometimes the stock images have very simple terminology associated with them. So let's just use money. That seems like a good one. And let's use this piggy bank. I like this piggy bank. So let's use that one. Click the insert. And of course, it's going to be large. We're going to make it smaller. And this one fits almost perfectly over here. So I'm going to put, oh, no, that one is the text box. Let's use it. Let's make it small. Use it in the tiny one. And I will use financial stability for my text box here. Now notice it's hiding a little bit behind the picture. So I'm going to make this font a little bit smaller and see if we can, there we go, and it'll fit. So you can adjust size of the photos, the text and everything. So last but not least, I'm going to use an image from my own photos. So I'm going to click again on the insert menu and do photo browser. We can also use picture from file. in fact, I'm going to use picture from file because I have a lot of photos saved in my documents folder anyway. Because I'm on a Mac, it has my images separate. So let's click on this. And then there's tons of images in here. Let me find one that is related to a goal that is very real and one that's going to have something happen in 2 weeks. So there's several that have Disney running things, but let me see if I can find one that I like. I just saw, here's me and Moana. That's a decent one. Let's click that one. All right. So one of my goals is to complete 2 Disney races this year. One is scheduled for April the 6th. So as I mentioned, oops, right around the corner. You may have noticed that I clicked on crop under picture format because I wanted to cut out some of the extra stuff and then I will adjust the size. So let's put me and Moana over here. And this is not a good space for this, but I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to leave it like this. So finish a half marathon, which is the goal. Okay. So there's my goals. Now I need 2 quotes to show my goals. So let's go to the internet to find some inspirational quotations. Let me make this smaller so we can actually see the internet. Okay, so I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to put inspirational, except I can't spell this morning. There we go. Inspirational quotes. There are tons of websites that have inspirational quotes on them. It doesn't really matter what you use. I'm going to just pick one. Personal growth quotes. That sounds good. All right. So let's go to this website. Now, there are some that will allow you to actually search for things. I'm just going to pick a couple off of here. Let's see. What do I like today? This is a good one. Okay. Chinese proverb. We're going to copy this and we're going to go back to our PowerPoint slide. And I'm going to put that one in this box, paste it in. Now, this is way too large for this box, of course. So again, I can adjust the size. We can make it smaller. That'll fit. There we go. We don't have a direct person, but I would include the part that says Chinese proverb. Let me go get another one. Quotes about change, quotes about education. This one might be good for a lot of you. Quotes about success. Ooh, I like this one. It's never too late to be who you might have been. Oh, okay. So we're going to put that in this box. And that one's plenty small to fit in the box. So we're going to leave it just like it is. Now, I am now done with my vision board. I've got 3 photos. They all relate to a goal. I've got titles for each photo, and then I've got my 2 quotes. I've put my name on it. Everything's cool. You can just save it. Like, so we can just go, let me go ahead and save this. We're going to call this Unit 4 Vision Board JP. Okay. I'm going to save that in my documents folder and it is ready to go. If you want, you can get rid of these other pages. You can just delete them. You don't need them. The only thing you really need is the vision board, but you don't have to do that. If you just want to turn the whole thing in that way, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to save this just by itself and we're going to go and submit it. Okay, so we're going to close it out. We don't need it open anymore. We're going to go back to the course. We're going to click on the link, and we're going to do it just the way we've been doing it with Word files. But instead of a Word file this time, we're going to have our PowerPoint, which is right here, Unit 4, Vision Board, JP. You will still click I agree to submit my paper to the global database reference and click the submit button. Now, this one typically takes a little bit of time to render because of all the photos. So if you don't see the sample right away, you can wait for it, but you don't have to. It's going to be there. It's going to be absolutely fine. You have submitted it. Okay. So that is your main big assignment for this week. It is not hard. If you're not familiar with PowerPoint, I understand it can be a little bit intimidating, but it is easy peasy. Everything is there. Like I said, I would definitely use the template because everything is there. So that will help you make sure that you meet all the requirements. There you go. You got any questions, let me know. And again, reminder that tomorrow, Tuesday, the 25th, we do have another workshop where we will go over this again, but we'll also talk a little bit more about SMART goals. So if you can join us tomorrow night, that's awesome. If not, of course, I will share out the recording so you can take a look at that. All right, everybody. Happy week 4. We're halfway there. Take care.